Did you know filing your Oklahoma state taxes online doesn't actually have to cost you a single penny? It's true, and honestly, it's way simpler than you might think. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're putting together the ultimate guide on how to file your Oklahoma state taxes online completely for free. Whether you're a seasoned taxpayer or a total beginner tackling this for the very first time, we're going to demystify the whole process together. Let's just shatter a massive misconception right out of the gate. So many folks think that securely filing their taxes means buying expensive software or handing over hefty fees to a tax preparer. No way. The truth is, if you have the right info, you can file your Oklahoma state return for exactly $0. We're going to show you how to keep your hard-earned money right where it belongs, in your pocket. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll be running through 1. The basics of Oklahoma taxes. 2. Qualifying for free filing. 3. A step-by-step filing process. 4. Avoiding common tax mistakes. 5. Finding help and resources. And finally, 6. A final review and disclaimer. Okay, part 1. Basics of Oklahoma taxes. Before you even start gathering your paperwork, we need to figure out if the state actually expects a return from you this year. If you lived in Oklahoma for the full year, your need to file is based on your gross income from all of your sources, both inside and outside the state. If you're filing as single, you've got to file if you made over $7,350. Married filing jointly, that bumps up to $14,700. And for head of household, it's $10,350. If you fall under those numbers, you generally don't have to file, unless, of course, they withheld Oklahoma tax from your paychecks and you want to claim that refund. Now, what if you moved around a bit? A part-year resident is someone whose permanent home, their domicile, was in Oklahoma for less than a full 12 months. In that case, you have the exact same income thresholds we just talked about, but only for the time you actually lived in the state. And hey, even if you never lived in Oklahoma, if you made $1,000 or more from Oklahoma sources, like maybe a rental property or some contract work, you fall into the non-resident category, but you are still required to file. Moving right along to part 2, qualifying for free filing. Let's look at the completely free online portals out there and figure out exactly which one is going to work for you. You actually have a couple of really fantastic options here. First up is the state-sponsored system called OKTAP, which stands for the Oklahoma Taxpayer Access Point. The incredible thing about OKTAP is there is absolutely no income limit. Anyone can use it. But it is exclusively for full-year residents. On the flip side, we have the IRS free file partners like OLT or TaxSlayer. These commercial portals do have adjusted gross income limits, usually hovering around $51,000 or $89,000 depending on the provider, but they support non-residents and part-year residents. Plus, they often throw in expanded free benefits for active duty military. All right, part 3, step-by-step filing process. We're going to take all the stress out of this and just mop it out logically, from pulling your documents together to hitting that final submit button. We can literally boil this entire tax prep journey down into 4 really manageable steps. Step 1, prepare your documents. Step 2, choose your free portal. Step 3, enter your information. And Step 4, submit the return. Easy, right? So let's talk about what you need in hand before you even think about logging in. Preparation is absolutely key. You're going to need your W-2s, your 1099s, and any records showing Oklahoma state taxes you've already had withheld. But listen, here's the most critical rule of the day. You have got to finish your federal income tax return, Form 1040, before you start your Oklahoma return. Why? Because Oklahoma basically uses your federal adjusted gross income as the absolute starting line for your state calculations. I also highly recommend having last year's state return handy just to keep things consistent and verify your identity. Okay, so when you're actually typing your information into the system, whether you're on the resident Form 511 or the non-resident 511NR, you always want to round your numbers to the nearest dollar. If a number ends in 1 to 49 cents, just round down. If it ends in 50 to 99 cents, like $2.50, round it up to $3. It sounds like a tiny detail, but it keeps the state's processing system running perfectly and prevents automated calculation errors from flagging your return. So you've entered your federal data, calculated your deductions, and hit submit. What happens next? Well, if you're owed a refund, you're definitely going to want to track it. You can easily do that using the Where's My Refund tool directly on the OKTAP website. Since you filed electronically, you can generally start checking that status just 4 short days after your return gets accepted by the state. Next up, part 4, avoiding common tax mistakes. Let's look at a few common speed bumps that catch filers off guard every single tax season. Knowing these in advance is going to save you a lot of headaches. Here's a huge warning pulled straight from the state's tax packet. If you fill out any portion of the supplementary schedules, like Schedules 511-A through 511-I, which handles specific additions, subtractions, and itemized deductions, you absolutely must provide those pages with your return. If you forget to include them, it's immediately going to trigger a delay in your refund processing. Another big trap is the timeline. The standard filing deadline is April 15th, same as federal taxes. But Oklahoma actually offers a pretty sweet perk here. If you file electronically, your deadline is automatically bumped back to April 20th. And if you need significantly more time, getting a valid federal extension automatically pushes your Oklahoma filing deadline all the way to October 15th. You can also use State Form 504-I for that. But wait, remember the golden rule of tax extensions. An extension to file is not an extension to pay. Even if you secure that October extension, you must pay at least 90% of your expected tax bill by that original April 15th deadline. If you don't, you'll get hit with penalties and interest charges that start adding up from day one. Let's move to part 5, finding help and resources. What if you get stuck setting up your OakTap login or trying to figure out a specific deduction? Don't stress. Oklahoma has some great free resources. For technical glitches or general questions, you can check out the OTAP Help Center online or call the Taxpayer Resource Center directly. But if you feel like you need actual, hands-on help preparing your return, look into the VITA program. VITA provides free, basic, IRS-certified tax prep for folks making $54,000 or less. And if you're 60 or older, the TCE program does the exact same thing, specifically tailored for seniors. And finally, Part 6, Final Review and Disclaimer. Let's make sure you're totally ready to tackle this process with absolute confidence. As always, I do need to give a quick professional disclaimer. Everything in this explainer is strictly for educational purposes, providing general guidance based on Oklahoma Tax Commission sources. Tax situations can be super unique, so if you've got complex business income, out-of-state property, or tricky legal questions, definitely consult a certified tax professional. So are you ready to claim your Oklahoma state tax refund without dropping a single dime on software fees? Gather up those W-2s, wrap up your federal return, and head over to OakTap or an IRS free file partner to get started. Taking control of this process is a huge step for your financial empowerment. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. As tax systems get more and more automated, it kind of makes you wonder, will state filing even exist in 10 years, or will the government just send us a bill? But hey, until then, you have the tools to do it yourself for free. If you found this breakdown helpful and want more straightforward insights into personal finance, be sure to subscribe. Catch you next time.